What's up, guys? Kevin and Melissa here.
Hello.
We're talking about the conclusion. It's finally over. It took, I think, 8 weeks. I have to double check. I think this is the 8th week we did this. It's crazy. It's a long time. It took a lot of dedication. Don't know if we'll do it again. It was a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. Just trading the decks back and forth. And
Yeah, doing it during the summer was a little rough.
yeah, took a while to get through.
Probably would have been faster over the winter.
And I think Melissa also figured out why people don't like Magic Online that much.
Oh my
It's a little
God.
frustrating to learn.
Yeah.
I swear to God, once you learn it, it's not that bad, but it takes a while to get used to, especially with some of the things that you messed up a couple times, like it didn't stop during the right phase. It's like, yeah, you have to finically tick like what phases you want it to stop on.
I didn't even know you could click on those.
Ones. Yeah, exactly. It's like a pain in the ass. I think that match we might have thrown away and redone because I think that kind of screwed you over.
The writing was on the wall anyway. So
yeah, that was when you were on Blue White Flicker and we started recording match 1 and you're like, oh, I need to blink my guys in your second main phase, but you didn't have my second main phase.
No,
stop or something.
I had a question about how one of the cards worked, and I asked you.
And I told you when to do it, and you're like, okay, I'll do it then. And then you went to tried to move to that step, but you didn't have that.
It
step
just skipped
checked.
right over it, and I was like,
no!
oh, okay.
It's like, now I definitely lose. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Never lucky, as they say. But let's walk through them and talk about the games that we had. We don't have to talk about the ones we're playing next week because we're done. So it started off with Elves vs. Angel Reanimator.
Yep.
That one was actually the closest of the matches, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Angel Reanimator took game 1, and it took game 1 pretty easily, and I was starting to think it could make it. I really started to think it could.
It literally got all the things it needed.
Yeah, it got all the things it needed, and it just immediately went off turn 4. It looked very strong, and then games 2 and 3, I don't remember exactly why it failed.
I didn't get enough of those red cards.
Yeah, you didn't get enough of the search cards, basically.
Yeah.
But games 2 and 3 definitely wasn't successful. I don't think I actually ended up drawing my sideboards, but I had reasonably good hands on Elves, and it was just Elves ended up being faster. Angel Reanimator is one of those decks where it has to be a little lucky to do well, and it's done pretty well up till now, but
I mean, it made it pretty far.
I was incredibly impressed. Both Elves and Angel Reanimator lost week 1. I was like, all right, well, I guess they're going to go out week 2 or 3, and both of them fought all the way to the top 4 through the losers bracket, which is pretty impressive in my book. And only one of them can move on, and it ended up being Elves.
Surprise, surprise.
Much to the chagrin of Melissa. And then we ended up with Blue White Flicker versus Elves. Do you have any thoughts on that matchup?
I don't remember ever really getting really good hands or anything.
It's hard. And it was one of the things where you didn't play Blue White Flicker as much as me. Let me tell you right now, Blue White Flicker doesn't have good hands. It has bad hands it wins with anyway, which is always weird. It's like, how did it get to 3rd place in the entire tournament? And that's true. And it's just like, well, it has enough to slow down everybody with these terrible, even though it has these terrible looking hands, and it slows them down until it gets to this point where it's just like it has Panharmonicon down, has like a Frost Titan or something down, and then it just like blinks its whole team when it's at 2 life, and it's like, okay, well, I bounced everything you had to hand, and now you're never going to get back into the game. But usually its hands are bad, and it just takes that long, and somehow it makes it work. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say it always has bad hands. I mean, if you have a really good curve of like Thraben Inspector into Riftwing Cloudskate into Reflector Mage into Panharmonicon, and then the Riftwing Cloudskate comes back in the next turn, you can bounce 2 of your opponent's lands to hand.
I still don't like
them all. It's like, it can happen, but it's hard.
That one artifact, it costs 4.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good.
It costs 4, and I got into situations where it's like, do I cast this, or like I'm gonna die if I don't cast this other thing? Know. You know what I mean? It's like 4 is too much. I mean, I understand what it does is why it costs 4, but
it is very powerful, but it is also a do-nothing artifact until you play stuff on top of it later.
Yeah.
So,
and by turn 4, you could play something useful. I
mean, it was one of the 4 ones coming out of the matches I played with it originally, and it obviously it must be strong because they made it that far. But every time I play it and every time I look at it, I go, doesn't feel like a strong deck. But I mean, it made it to the top 3, so you can't knock it too much. But Elves, won 2 matches in a row over it pretty easily. Basically, it fought along an axis. Elves fought along an axis that it just couldn't handle. It could bounce things back to hand, and a couple games, at least one of the 2 games, it did it pretty effectively. It just kept all my Arc Druids in hand for quite a while, but it just couldn't suppress it for long enough.
No.
And Elves goes too wide. I mean, basically, Blue-White Flicker wants to push everything back into your opponent's hand, and Elves just plays things too fast, and you just can't bounce everything back to hand. So it can slow it down, it can make it win turn 5 or 6, but Blue-White Flicker doesn't kill fast enough itself, and then turn 5 or 6, the board is just overtaken, and it just kind of loses out.
Yeah, you don't want to bounce the cards back to Elves.
Right.
Elves' hands. You want to get rid of them.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it does help, especially the Arc Druids, because they have to be in play for a turn to tap for mana.
Yeah, but as soon as they hit play, that's it. You can tap it with that other person.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's hard to want to bounce the Heritage Druid. That's the one you're thinking of, I think.
Well, I think there's usually a bigger threat out.
Yeah.
Than that one. You're like, well, at least he taps it, so he can't attack me with it if he needs the mana. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that one I would have predicted. The one I wouldn't have predicted is the finals. Elves versus Mono Red Burn.
Yeah.
And do you have any perspective on it? Any thoughts?
I don't really remember.
Oh, it's okay. Do you remember what happened? Or did you black it out? Did you just you're like you had this terrible nightmare?
Drop me a hint. Drop me a hint.
This terrible nightmare that Elves won.
Yeah, drop me a hint. What happened?
Well, what I remember is the game ones.
You had gain life, which was really annoying.
So what I remember is the game ones were very close.
Yeah.
But Elves were on the play. I think that helped them a lot.
Maybe that was all it took.
And I think that's
because one game was really low. You were really low. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
And then you started gaining life, and I was like, well,
that was the game 2 of match 1, I think.
Yeah.
Was it game 2 of match 1 or game 2 of match?
Get enough
no, it was
cards.
game 2 of match 1. But both of the game 2s, Elves had really good sideboard, and Mono Red Burn had some okay sideboard, but you only drew your sideboard in one of the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, I had 3 copies of what's her name?
It was the green Soul Sister.
Essence Warden.
Yeah.
Instead of Soul Warden. It was Essence Warden. It's the green one. And so yeah, every time a creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. And against Burn, that's very good. And Melissa did what she was supposed to do, which is kill them right away. But if you have to spend a burn spell on one of Elves' creatures, that burn spell isn't going to face. Right. I mean, you have to do it, because otherwise you're going to gain way more than 3 life off it.
Yeah.
But it still slows you down a lot. And then in that time, Elves managed to overwhelm the board. And in the game that you got really close, I had a Soul Warden in my opening hand, played it down. Got a Soul Warden like the next turn or 2, played it down. You kept killing them. You got me really low. And then I was a turn away from dead. I was at like 5 life.
Yeah.
You had a creature on board. I had a couple creatures too to block.
That was the one where I could have killed you, and then you started gaining life. And
it was looking like you could kill me either the next turn or the turn after. Maybe I only had 4 life even.
I think I needed the mana to untap.
Yeah. You definitely at least needed the mana. And that turn, I was like, well, I could play out all the creatures I have instead, but I think the only way I win is by instead playing Lead the Stampede, which is look at the top 5 cards and put all creatures into your hand. And in those cards, I hit Essence Warden and like a bunch of like 1-drops and stuff, and it was like, oh, well, now I just play out like my whole hand, and I went from like 4 life or so to like 14 in 1 turn.
Yeah.
I think I already had Lissalana out too, so every creature I played actually produced a creature with it.
Yeah.
And that basically sealed that game. So.
Yeah.
Rough running for Red Deck wins. They hadn't lost a match. It had only lost 2 games up to that point. And is that right? Maybe it's less than that.
Flicker also had gain life, which it
no,
had...
I'm lying. It lost 3 games up there. It lost a bunch of games, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess. I see what you're saying.
But it hadn't lost a match up till that point, and then it lost 2 matches in a row.
Yeah.
Elves had the opposite luck. It lost 1 match at the beginning, and then won all of its matches since. It even 2-0'd most of them. It won its last 9 games in a row, I think, or something like that, or 8. Yeah, because we played 4 matches. It won its last 8 games. It lost its first match to Angel Reanimator, and then it won 8 games in a row, which is crazy. So, I think Elves got a little lucky, as well as a couple of those other decks getting a little unlucky especially Angel Reanimator and Red Deck Wins, I think both had reasonably good shots. But, yeah. And in both of the sideboarded games, I think, so the second sideboarded game with Elves, I drew all 3 of my Essence Wardens.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, and if I hadn't, I would have lost. I don't think the second game of match 2 was quite as close, but I still think I drew 2 Essence Wardens. And again,
well, I mean, you do shuffle through a lot of creatures in that deck.
You
so,
do.
I mean, it's not that weird.
But with only 3, it's still a little abnormal. But I agree, it is certainly higher probability than it would be in a normal deck, because I was playing a bunch of spells that dug me 4 or 5 deep in Lead the Stampede and Sylvan Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, there was one where you blocked, and I was like, oh, yeah, you can... Oh, that was against Blue-White Flicker. I was like, you can block them and blink your guys, and it'll be fine. And that does work. But I was like, yeah, the only time it wouldn't work is if my guys had Trample. But none of my guys had Trample, and I was wrong. One of my guys had Trample, and that was one of the ones you blocked. So I was doing the math, and I was sitting there like, I thought she blocked enough. She should go to like 2 or something.
I misunderstood.
I still think you would have lost. But you would have gone to 2 and lived through the turn. But the Sylvan Messenger, which was the 5/5...
I didn't realize that they had Trample.
One elf. There's only one. There's the one elf with Trample, and it did just enough to put you to like negative 4 or something. Or I think it put you to negative. I don't remember. But either way, you could have blocked another elf, and I think you would have lived. But I also don't think you were winning that.
Whatever.
That game
Glad Flicker lost.
Yeah. I didn't realize that till afterwards. Like I remember while I was playing the games, I was like, wait, how did she lose?
Every time I get stuck playing Blue-White Flicker, I'm always like, because I love Blue-White.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's so frustrating because you're like, oh man, Reflector Mage is so good. And then you get that stupid 4 mana artifact, you know, like, you cost 4 mana. I'd rather have a Reflector Mage.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I feel like whenever you play it, you would always get those spell skate? No. The thing was Cloud Skate. I don't know what it's called.
Cloud Skate. Yep.
Yeah.
Riftwind Cloud Skate.
You would always get it early, and I would never get the stupid thing till late. And it was like, well, now you're useless.
It's still pretty good late. You can just play it for 5 mana.
I don't think it didn't come that late.
Oh, okay. I say a lot of times you can just play it for 5 minutes. It's good, especially if you have out the artifact.
But you can't. Yes, but it costs 4.
Yeah,
so if you got it on turn 5, you'd already have to play the other thing.
I know. I'm just like, some of my best games have been playing one of those on 2, so it comes out turn 5, and then having another one to play out on turn 5, and just being like, I play it on turn 2, play the Panharmonicon on 4, Riftwind comes in, bounce 2 lands to hand, play another Riftwind, bounce 2 lands to hand, and then you're like sitting on 0 lands on the other side of the board. And I'm like, ha.
Yeah, what was it supposed to do? Bounce land in Elves?
No, you couldn't do shit against Elves.
Yeah.
It's not a good matchup for that deck. The other 2 decks had a chance. That deck did not have a chance against Elves. The only chance it had was the one sweeper it runs in
I didn't even see it once.
Magus of the Disc. There's only 2 of them. If you got one of the 2 Magus of the Discs...
I don't even think there's anything in the sideboard that was going to help.
Good, really. Yeah, not against Elves. The 2 Magus of the Discs
I think I put in... does it have, like, Banisher Priest or some sort of equivalent?
I think it does, yeah.
I put in a bunch of those.
I think you did.
I was like, get rid of some of this crap, put in some of this crap.
It's either Banisher Priest or Fiend Hunters. I don't remember without looking, but I think it does. Yeah, I think you're right.
I was like, well, we're going to get rid of somebody. Instead of bouncing it back to your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, those are actually not terrible with the Panharmonicon either, because if you have that out, their abilities will trigger twice too. I mean, they both come back once they...
it would be nice if we got them, right?
They both come back once the creature is removed, but you also get to remove 2 creatures, so... Yeah, a little rough.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to say about the Trample is, it's on a card you would never think would have Trample. It's like the least important word on the card.
Well, I think
It's a 2/2 elf called Sylvan Messenger that... When it comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your hand, your library, and put any number of elves into your hand, not into play. So it's like, you never think about it having Trample. Like, 1, who puts Trample on a 2/2? It's fucking pointless. And 2, it has this other important ability. It's like, you never bother reading for the Trample. So it's like,
I think by surprise. Normally elves, they'll just swing in like a bunch of creatures all at once, so it doesn't matter that it has Trample, honestly.
That's true also.
So it's like, whatever, you attack me with like 12 6/6s, it doesn't matter if it has Trample, I'm already dead.
That's a good point. And so after the Red Deck Wins match against Elves, after both of them, we crowned Elves the champion. Woo!
No. You're gonna be spoiled sport.
No?
I don't like elves.
I know. It's okay.
That's alright.
They did their best.
I know.
What can they do to make you happy, Melissa?
I stay in the losers bracket forever.
They were in the losers bracket forever.
I know.
They
should have
won
stayed
right
there.
out of the losers bracket.
I suppose it's an exciting underdog story. They did get beat by humans, so I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
pretty good.
That was the one deck that actually beat them, was the blue-white humans.
Yeah.
Of the top 4 decks, which one was your favorite?
Oh, which one's the top 4?
Elves was number 1.
Oh, is it these ones right here?
Yeah, Elves was... Oh, I bumped it. Elves was 1.
Is it the next row?
Blue-white flicker was 3. And Angel Animator was 4.
Right, so the 4 that are in that column. This column. These are the 4.
Yep.
You can just point you to those 4.
No, that has Elves twice.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right.
Because blue-white flicker had to lose from there to go to there.
Oh, alright. Never mind.
It's alright.
Which, out of all those, which ones did I like?
Yeah, out of those 4.
I liked Red Deck Wins.
Okay.
I also played that one the most, so that
what
probably
happens
helps.
when I hit this end of the tournament button? I'm going to press it and see what happens. Oh, it lists the top 3. How about that? 4th place, 5th place.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, 3rd place, blue-white flicker. I'm still pretty impressed that I got 3rd place. I would not have... even before this tournament started, even though it had a 4-1 record, I don't think I would have put that one in 3rd place. And I definitely would not have... Angel of Animator was one of the 1 and 4 decks. I was like, alright, well, that deck's out. That deck's probably not making it to... It's probably not winning any games. Red Green Lane Destruction, Thop 3 Sword combo. Makes sense to me that they made it that far. They're just powerful decks. See the Unwritten and Mono Black Vampires. Seems pretty reasonable. I was a little surprised that Mono Black Vampires did that well, but I think it kept having pretty good matchups.
Yeah.
It's not bad against creature decks, and there are a lot of creature... I play a lot of creature decks, and I ran a lot of budget creature decks in Season 1, so it's not too surprising to me that they did well in those matchups. 9th place, White Knights. So after the 7th and 8th place ones, we're getting into the real losers, because that's the lowest half of the bracket. White Knights...
Look at the bottom one.
Blue-White Humans, Living End, and Lane Destruction Reanimator. All pretty strong, really, but they all are in kind of tied for 9th place. And then the worst of the worst were my Mono White Death and Taxes build.
I don't think that's true, though.
Well, I think it's bad in this tournament. It's good against...
I remember looking at the deck and thinking it was pretty good.
Well, it's good against meta decks. That's the problem. Like, that's what it tries to beat decks that do high budget things in a lot of ways. Like, even Mind Sensor is a good card against decks that search their library a lot, but most of these decks don't. Because the main way you search your library is fetch lands and stuff.
Yep.
So, that's part of the reason that wasn't good. Kiki-Jiki, I just think we got a little unlucky. Never had any really strong combo hands. I actually think that one's pretty good. The Green-White Lifelink one, I actually think is really good. The only one that I really... If you're going to build a deck out of this list, don't build my Blue-Black Delver deck as I had expect. It was the worst. It definitely gets the worst place in... worst
is that
place
the one with that demon in it?
Yeah. The demon's not bad as a 1-of. It just needs to not be a 4-of. It's too high curve a deck for what it wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that demon.
It needed some Gurmag Anglers or something.
That's the one with the big mouth.
It's a fish.
Yeah, the fish one.
Zombie fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this season. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If I manage to get to the point where I've done 16 again, I might do a season 2 of this. I don't know. I don't know if Melissa will be up for it or not, because I know it was a lot of work and she's not a big fan of Magic Online. I did have a lot of fun doing it, but it was also a lot of work, so I don't know.
That's a lot of editing.
Yeah, well, anything I do is editing, though. It's actually probably less editing than a normal series. Just it's a little harder to make sure you're here to record the matches and then trade the decks back and forth. A little bit more logistically.
Maybe by the time the next one you have 16 new ones or whatever.
Yeah.
The new Magic thing will be out.
It might be, but they won't be able to do these decks.
Oh, that's right.
They'll only do standard, basically.
Oh, I forgot.
But who knows? Maybe we'll switch over to that and do some games and some matches on that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped. I heard recently some people got into the open beta. I was told that I had an expedited beta entry or whatever, but
what does that mean?
Like if you play in a tournament or something, they like put you in a special pool that like can get in slightly earlier.
Oh.
So I'm in the beta pool that can get in slightly earlier theoretically, but they just recently picked a bunch of people from random from it, and I didn't make it. So somebody's out there enjoying the game, I think, but not me, sadly. Hopefully next time. But I am pretty excited to try that, even if it's only standard, which is not... I don't dislike standard, it's just not my favorite.
Well, hopefully it's a little bit more, I don't know, user-friendly?
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, for me, Magic Online is fine, but it does take practice. I would very much like to see... I like Magic, and I want Magic to reach a wide audience. That's partly why I do things like video for it, especially budget decks. I do them because, you know, especially Modern is a hard format to get into, so it's nice to see some ways to get into it which don't totally break your bank and still give you decks that are at least semi-competitive, except for maybe Blue Black Delver. But but you know, I want to see a world where more people are into Magic, and I think a more accessible client could help a lot.
Right. I mean, maybe this is just my personal preference. I think it's better to play in person than online. I feel like it really restricts you in ways that just wouldn't happen in person. Like, I mean, maybe if you're playing with a jerk or whatever, but usually you're playing with your friends, and they're, you know, you'll say, like, declare whatever this step is, and they'll finish whatever they're doing and declare their step. They're not going to skip over it. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, so this is the difference between me knowing how to use the program and you not knowing how to use the program, I think. I mean, yes, I've misclicked literally, like, once or twice, but for the most part, I know how to use the program well enough so I don't make those kind of mistakes. And in some ways, it's very nice to have the online client because the online client doesn't make mistakes and it doesn't have to look up the rules. And I mean, it can make mistakes, but it's very rare.
I don't know, but sometimes arguing about what the rules are is kind of
I'm not saying it's
Magic.
There's definitely a social.
Trying to suss out what it is.
There's definitely a social element to playing Magic in person that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I like the online version of it a lot too, but it takes a lot of work to enjoy it, and I think that is the wrong way for Wizards to go. Like if you have to actively work to learn the program well enough to play it, and it suffers in some other big ways. I mean, we're kind of off on a tangent off the actual tournament now, but that's fine. One of the other big ways it suffers is you can't just declare infinite combos on Magic Online.
Right? That's
so
annoying.
It's in some ways it's kind of nice. It means people run less infinite combo decks, especially what I consider the most annoying infinite combo decks, which are infinite life gain decks. But at the same time, it still restricts a little bit of the kind of Magic you can play, because you can make infinite life. It's just you have to make it a step at a time. So it's kind of tedious, and then you can run out of clock time.
Yep. Yeah, I had a lot of that at the beginning.
Yeah. Once you learn the interface a little better, you didn't. And even with really slow decks, as long as you are pretty good, like even if you have a pretty long combo deck, as long as you're pretty good, you know, this clock's really not much of an issue. Like, I've played Saheeli combo decks with Saheeli Felidar Guardian. Do you remember that one from Standard? You put in Saheeli Rai, she blinks Felidar Guardian, that blinks Saheeli Rai, that blinks Felidar Guardian.
That's the red-blue Planeswalker?
She's the red-blue Planeswalker, and it's a white creature. And basically, you combo them off, and you make enough 1/4s to kill your opponent. But they're 1/4s, so you got to make at least 20 of them.
Yeah.
Plus, however much life they've gained so far. Plus, however many defenders they have. So it's definitely a little grindy to do that combo out, but you know, it's really not that bad. Or I guess it's not any worse or better than the Thopter Sword one, which is a little clunky too. Or Angel Reanimator can be that slow depending on how many copies of Soulport Cutthroat you have out. And I managed to get pretty fast at them, but it's still, like, even when you get fast at them, it's still tedious to do, even if the clock's not as much of an issue. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping the new client's going to be good. I mean, I suspect that their new client won't be any better at stuff like that. But
no, I mean,
I think the new client will be better for casual
it
players.
was made to be a card game in person, so
I mean, that's one of the problems. One of the problems is it's more complicated.
To be a computer game, yeah.
It's more complicated than Hearthstone.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so if you don't try to make it work better in that context, it's going to be hard. Being able to interrupt each other all the time as you play is just a tricky thing to deal with.
Yeah. I'd almost like it if you could, I don't know if the new one does, I don't know anything about the new one, but I'd like it if you could assign like a setting with the deck. So when you pick that deck, it already changes your settings. So like if in this deck I have a, what's that crew thing?
It's called crew.
No, the actual card.
Oh, you're talking about Smuggler's Copter?
Yes, that one, okay. Smuggler's Copter. So if you have the deck with Smuggler's Copter, you'll have that phase right before the attack to crew things before you declare attackers. But in other decks, I don't need that, so that's just wasting my time. You know what I mean?
I will say, I think I mentioned this to you before, a lot of people like to crew on that step before attackers are declared. It's almost never relevant. I mean, I guess on defense it's more relevant.
I've been doing it this whole time.
I know.
Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
Why not do it during the first main phase?
Because I didn't know if I needed it. I don't know. It's just what I did.
I know. I would say your opponent can only do things at instant speed on your turn anyway.
Right.
So when you're doing it on your turn, there's no advantage to doing it, to waiting until you begin.
Then why'd you tell me to do it that way? That's how I did it the whole time.
You were like, oh, I should do it on my beginning attack step, right? And I was like, yeah, you could, or it's fine to do it on your first main phase. And you're like, okay, and then I sit on your beginning attack step, which is fine.
Because it's right before you attack. You crew it.
There's no reason not to do it then. I'm just saying you don't have to have a special step set because you can just do it in your first main phase and it doesn't really hurt anything.
Oh my god, we got all the way to the end of this and then you tell me that.
I'm just saying it doesn't
I feel like that's something you should have brought up several weeks ago.
I mean, there might be some edge cases where it affects something, but for the most part, your opponent cannot do special things during your first main phase that they couldn't do during your begin attack step because they can only do instant stuff. So there's no.
I feel like this is something I should have been told before.
It doesn't really matter.
I never played with Smuggler's Copter in person.
There's no reason to do it during your main phase or during your... Most people in person would probably do it at the beginning combat step. But it doesn't matter. My only point is, if you're using it defensively, you might want to wait in case your opponent has sorcery speed removal. Because it's during their main phase. And you want to wait till their begin combat step. Or after they... You might even wait till after they've declared attackers. You want to wait till they can only do things at instant speed.
I feel like I've been
But for you, your opponent can already only do things at instant speed. So it just doesn't matter as much.
So I had this whole extra phase throughout this whole tournament that I didn't need.
I don't know what you need and you don't need.
Oh my god.
Apparently you need to stop in my second main phase.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't do it to punk you.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, so yes, you can set phases, but I think this kind of gets to the root of the fact that Magic is a lot more complicated than something like Hearthstone.
But it feels less complicated in person.
It does, yeah.
Even when people did complicated things, like when we'd go to Friday Night Magic and people did a combo I didn't know.
I mean...
They'd be like, I played this card. And they'd look at me like, are you going to scoop? And I'm like, why? I don't understand what just happened. And then they'd walk through the step once, and I'd be like, oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that comes down...
that took up way less time than I feel like it would on Magic Online.
I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that a lot of things that humans can do well, computers can't do well, and Magic was designed as a human game, not a computer game.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at... I mean, there's a ton of things that humans can do super well that computers can do, they just can't do it quite as well. And you can make something very strict and official so that computers can kind of do it well, like what Magic Online does, but then humans aren't as intuitive about it because... I don't know. I feel like you also make a lot more mistakes with humans, and then humans are just more easily willing to be like, okay, I'll back up. Oh, okay,
well, yeah,
I see
when you're playing friendly, that's perfectly fine, I think.
Yeah. Well, even when you're playing, backing up, I think is maybe not okay, but...
No, not
I'm just saying,
like a Friday Night Magic thing.
If somebody goes, oh, I'm declaring attackers... And you go, wait, you never declared your begin attack phase. They'll go, oh, okay, sorry, begin attack phase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, it's at least the Friday Night Magic that's
I usually try to say, tell me when it's the beginning of your attack phase or something to give them a heads up.
Yep.
So they don't skip past it and then tap something and they're like, well, I wouldn't have tapped it that way. It's like, all right, I'll just give you a heads up.
That's a good idea, but at the same time, maybe telling them that you need to just know at the beginning attack phase.
Play ad nauseum. I don't really care.
I'm just saying, but there are decks where telling them that you need to know when the beginning attack phase is gives them additional information.
Well, you can fake them out every once in a while.
You could also announce at the beginning of the whole game, please announce every step that you move to.
I'm not playing for big stakes. I don't think it matters.
It gets messy with humans, too. Humans are just better at recovering from those messy things.
Yeah, I didn't realize Friday Night Magic was so cutthroat.
It's not. That's what I'm saying. My point is that most people just are willing to back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is going to be a 20-minute long video where we spent 5 minutes on the decks.
I'm just angry because we finished that show and I didn't like it. And I'm mad because I wanted to like it. And I feel betrayed. I don't know the name of the show.
Mindhunters?
That's it.
It's the one about people, they hunt minds with guns. And no, that's not what happens.
It would almost be slightly better.
They're on a world filled with brains.
Yeah.
No, it's about talking to serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That was the good part of the show, is when they talked to the serial killers. And then
my favorite part was when the girlfriend was there.
Oh my god, she was awful.
Well, she had these things on her, and she was like naked. It was pretty good stuff.
She was only naked like in the very beginning, and then she stopped getting naked.
That's how they hook you. That's how they get you.
That's how they hook you.
And then you have to watch the rest of it, and you're like, when is this damn cat gonna show up? When she keeps feeding this cat, like the cat show up. Don't ruin it. Oh. The cat shows up, except it's actually a mountain lion.
It's a raccoon the whole time.
It's actually a homeless man in a cat outfit.
Ooh.
Twist.
That would have been a better twist than what happened. What happened wasn't even a twist.
Stop! You're ruining the movie. Okay, we're cutting this off. We're not even talking about magic
Save
anymore.
yourself! Don't watch it!
I thought it was a really good show. It did have some issues that I think made it not the best show I've ever seen, but I give it a 7.5, maybe even 8 out of 10.
Only watch the parts where he talks to serial killers, skip everything else.
If you could find some kind of clips show that only shows the serial killer and detective parts, that would probably be a more enjoyable show.
Yeah, or just the regular detective show kind of crap they do.
The drama parts made you go, wow, these people are...
Poorly written?
I was going to use a harsh word, but I'll just say dumb. They're kind of not very smart, I think.
The girlfriend has zero charisma.
They're overly emotional, and they make bad decisions, and it doesn't really match up with the rest of the show. And I feel like it was put in there to force it to seem dramatic and to stretch the show out, and kind of make all the actual interesting parts that they had written fit together. And it should have been half the length. Anyway, I'm going to cut all this out of this, probably.
Oh.
You don't want me to? All right, fine. I'll leave this in. Nobody watches the Closing Thoughts shows anyway, so it's fine.
I feel like we're doing a public service announcement.
Please
fast forward.
Watch Mindhunters. It was a lot of fun. I agree. Fast forward through the girlfriend scenes, except for the ones where she's naked. Put that shit on. Put that shit on slow mo and make your girlfriend jealous, and she'll hate me.
Oh please.
No, I don't. I didn't mind any of it as much as you minded it, but I do agree that it had issues in the
I think
there were exciting portions and there were non-exciting portions, and the exciting portions were really good, and the non-exciting portions to me were bearable, but they felt like the non-exciting portions like, okay, we're grinding XP, and then the exciting portions were like, it's the fucking boss battle. Let's see what loot it drops, you know.
I just feel like even from the very beginning, that guy and his girlfriend just had
Stranger Things comes out in like 4 hours, and that's just like
that's
just fucking all collecting loot. Yeah. All boss battles.
Well, hopefully. Maybe it'll be bad too.
We
don't know if it's good or bad till we watch it. That's the thing. You don't know.
That's how the Upside Down is. Just a world of boss battles.
Yeah.
Filled with loot. That's what I remember from the images I've seen of it.
It's going to be full of bitchy girlfriends bitching at you all the time, like in that show.
Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Do you have anything left to say about the winner of this, Melissa? Like your catchphrase?
I hate elves? Is that my catchphrase?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Alright.
Are you supposed to... I wanted you to say it on your own, though. I didn't want to have to prompt you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm not good at catchphrases.
We're going to cut this again. Okay, well, do you have anything to say about the winner of the tournament, Melissa?
I hate elves.
Say it meaner. Like you want to kill the elves.
Like I want to kill the elves?
Yeah, like... You have a hatred, a rage built up inside of you.
I can't. I'm a shy person.
Okay, say it jokingly then.
No.
Alright. Melissa has her own channel where she does Fire Emblem Heroes. You should check it out. I have a channel where I do Magic the Gathering, and that's probably why you're watching this right now. I also do TV show reviews from Netflix.
Apparently.
Thank you guys for watching.
Bye.
I'll see you next time. And Melissa will too.
Me too, I guess.
Melissa,
I don't actually
Melissa
see anyone.
Melissa likes it when I make these things really awkward for her. It's her favorite part of this.
I'm so awkward.
No, you're not. You're fine. All right. That. Oh my God. I should probably cut this. I can't even find. Oh, you know what? It's on the wrong screen.
You gotta hit pause. Yeah.
I have to stop.
Hey guys, BobGar here. I just really wanted to quickly say, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you enjoy my content in general and would like to see more of it, subscribe. I'll be coming out with more content in the future. And please leave me comments and let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, both in terms of production and in terms of my play and my deck building and all that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.